Have you ever wondered what it takes to get into cybersecurity? Or is it something you're really wanting to do for a long time but you just don't know how to get started? Don't worry, I'll be giving you some very important tips on how to get started and choose the right path and role for you. Stick around. So before we go on, we've got to address this question: what is cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is not just about installing an antivirus on a laptop or a desktop. It's much more than that. So cybersecurity includes a lot of disciplines and best practices to make sure that the network and digital systems we are securing are, of course, secure, they're reliable, and it cannot be compromised. So why is cybersecurity so critical nowadays? So as you can understand, a lot of our own information is online, available on several platforms. So we do shop online, we do entertain ourselves online by streaming platforms such as Netflix or YouTube, and we do interact with other people via social media and dating platforms. So all these platforms require us to sign up an account and of course use a username and a password. Some of these platforms also require us to identify ourselves by providing additional forms of authentication or IDs, such as a driving license or a birth certificate or Medicare card. And of course, the more information we provide, the more we are in danger. So if the actual platform that we're providing the sensitive data to is compromised, then it's possible that the data may end up on a dark web, or the data being resold to third parties, and then could be reused against us for several types of attacks, such as identity theft, or simply they could be reusing the credit card details to purchase something we have not authorized. Cyber attacks are just not about stealing data though. So cyber attacks are also about disrupting services, and most of the time, unfortunately, it does happen. Some attackers, which may be motivated by different agenda, they attack a specific services or even government institutions to basically disrupt the service and to cause the end users problems. They cannot access the platform, and these are called distributed denial of service. And of course, when this happens, and it is a problem for everyone, because as I said earlier, the end users will also be affected by this. So what can we do online to stay secure? So of course, we have to select a strong password, and we need to make sure we don't reuse this password everywhere we do online business or entertainment from. So for example, if we use the same password on Netflix and the banking side, that's obviously not an ideal situation, and we need to separate and use a stronger password for each platform. It's also up to the provider of the service to make sure that the information we provide is secure and cannot be compromised at any times by encrypting the data at rest, for example, and in transit, but as well as in implementing additional technical governance controls to make sure that they are able to identify any potential breach or a malicious attack before it causes too much of a damage. So what's needed to get into cybersecurity? So as you can understand, cybersecurity is a very broad field. And the standard university degrees such as a bachelor degree and a master degree can assist you into landing your first entry-level job with an employer. In some cases may not be enough. I strongly believe that certifications along with some work experience are the best combination for you to land your first job at a company, and of course you can continue grow from there. As you can probably guess, cybersecurity is currently very, very in demand at the moment. It's a very, very in demand role. But again, it requires a lot of work experience along with some qualifications for a job. Of course, the actual remuneration can be quite high at the moment. It really depends on your experience, and as well as I said earlier, your qualifications for the job. Now, if you have other technical type of experience such as system administration and network administrations, or you're simply a developer, this will be very beneficial for you to land your first job in cyber. I believe a very good security engineer has a very broad knowledge about many things. So, for example, a security engineer must be comfortable operating within a server environment, must have knowledge about networks and protocols in general, and of course, the programming side of things. A security engineer can actually build and code his own tools as well, which he will need to actually simulate an attack online, to penetrate a network, or simply to perform a brute force attack on a specific service. So therefore, if you do work already in IT, you obviously have an advantage, because the transition will probably be easier for you. Some of the skills that are required to get into cyber, and again, it depends on the actual role you choose. If you can decide to be managing people, or you can perform risk assessment. You can work in risk and compliance position, for example, where it will be up to you to make sure that your company will be compliant with a specific standard and regulations. For example, a standard such as NIST cybersecurity framework, or a regulation such as here in Australia we have the APRA CPS 234 in the financial space. Some other very important skills that you must have if you decide to transition into a cybersecurity position. Very verbal skills and communication skills, obviously. You've got to be able to put together a report. For example, if you are a pen tester, you've got to be able to put together a report which highlights the actual findings and explain the actual issue to someone maybe who doesn't even know some technical jargon. So you've got to be able to communicate with non-technical people at different levels, so they are comfortable with what you're suggesting them to do, and how to further protect their own environment against a potential attack. Presentation skills is also a very, very important soft skill to have. So you've got to be comfortable to stand up and communicate to a room full of execs that probably don't know anything about cybersecurity, or they are not technical enough to understand technical terms. So we've got to be able to translate some technical terms into simple words for them to understand exactly what we are recommending for maybe for a future strategy, or maybe to address specific findings from an audit. If you do not have any cybersecurity experience at all, I suggest you get online on YouTube and Udemy to do some research there. It depends on what you want to do in the future in the cyber. So just to give an example, if you'd like to be a pen tester, there is a huge amount of information on YouTube on how to set up your own lab environment so you can do penetration testing within a safe environment without causing any obviously problems for anyone out there. Or there's simple, really useful services such as Hack the Box, which they will allow you to solve some security challenges there and do some basic pen testing against specific vulnerable targets. So when it comes to other disciplines or other roles such as digital forensics or cloud security, it's really up to you. There is a lot of free material out there. For example, Sounds website offers a free collection of tools via a virtual machine, which you can use to get some hands-on practice on digital forensics, on pen testing, or other sort of disciplines. For me, the main ingredient or the main sort of skills you must have, you must be able to learn quickly. You must be willing to learn new things every day. There is new vulnerabilities coming out every single day. We've got to be able to read new vulnerabilities, understand what they do, what the potential impact is for a successful exploitation, and of course the likelihood of a potential attack against our own environment. So we've got to be able to understand and also translate the potential risks for the executive team of our own company, so they can better understand the risk of mitigations or patching a vulnerability or accepting that vulnerability because the risk on business, for example, may be too high. Cybersecurity certifications, there is a few out there. I believe that work experience is always the best one out there, but I also believe that certifications along with work experience are definitely the way to go. And having a certification that definitely does not hurt if you don't have experience. It certainly actually makes you more appealing to a potential employer. Now, there is a few, it depends on the level of experience that you have maybe within the technical industry. If you do have some experience within the technical field, maybe you've done a bit of system administration, maybe you worked with some firewalls, or you install some routers, or maybe you install some firewalls. The CISSP is definitely an unbelievable certifications to have under your belt. It really gives you a very broad understanding of the cyber domains, and it gives you that theory knowledge that you must have to be a very good security professional. If you do not have any experience, technical experience, you can also go for a CEH certification, which is also, in my opinion, is excellent for a wannabe pen tester, because it gives you a very basic understanding of what a pen tester will do on a day-to-day basis. Will get you familiar with buffer overflows, and will get you familiar with also brute forcing specific services such as SSH or HTTP, HTTPS, or any other sort of authentication mechanism. So I suggest to take it. The actual exam was really fun, I still remember. Now, if you do not have any other certifications and you do not have any other technical experience, and maybe you do not have a lot of time to study, it may be ideal for you to go for the CompTIA Sec certification, which will allow you to again gain some basic understanding of security. One question I do get asked a lot is it better to have a certification, or is it better to have a university degree? It's a difficult one to answer. Obviously, it's good to have both. I personally found that university degrees are very theoretical. And for me, I was really craving the hands-on experience, which the certifications gave me, and therefore I decided to opt in for a certification instead of a university degree. If you decide to go for a university degree, you probably have to attend the university to follow lessons, and it's not always the case with a certification, where you can use self-study, which personally works better for me when it comes to actually retain information better, and obviously rely on videos to go back and forth if I don't understand a specific subject or specific topic. Some key takeaways for these videos are: cybersecurity is a very fast-growing industry with a huge skill gap. Obviously, if you have the right level of experience, you know it can be quite lucrative, and you'll be able to earn quite good money. And of course, it gives you, at least for myself, this is a job which I love, and I always wanted to be a security engineer, and it gave me a lot of satisfactions. So when it comes to certifications, you can start slow, obviously. So start off from CompTIA Security, if you can. If you're ambitious, you can definitely go for CEH. Now the requirements are, there's no requirements for both, but again, if I suggest, maybe if you don't have any type of experience, to go for the CompTIA cert, so you can start build up to go for the CEH certifications, and then once you get some work experience, you can go for a CISSP. As I was saying earlier, so if you do work within the technical industry, if you work in IT, you can easily transfer to cybersecurity. So if you're a developer, the transitions would be quite easy. But then again, it depends on what your aspiration is. So if you'd like to work and making sure that that the actual code the developers are coding is secure, so for example working in DevSecOps, then if you're already a developer, you understand the code, and there should be a very easy transition there. Either way, I believe that a good security engineer must have a very broad knowledge about many things, and I said this earlier, and I'm going to say that again. As a security engineer, we must know about servers and networks and firewalls and protocols. We've got to be familiar with the OSI model, what it means, and what it means to actually troubleshoot from the base, the physical layer, into the application layer. So of course it doesn't hurt for a security professional to know a language, programming language. If you know Visual Basic, or if you know C#, if you know C++, for example, it doesn't hurt to have it. From my personal view and experience, I noticed that nowadays security professionals tend to use languages such as Python and Perl, but as long as you've got the basic understanding on how to read and maybe code to actually build your tools, you'll be okay. You don't need to be an advanced, you don't need to be a developer to be comfortable. You can choose to go to uni if you want to. There is some advantages there. Maybe the uni course will probably have some of the lecturers or the teachers that will be able to sort of assist you if you have any questions, which is something you may not have if you do a self-study course for a CompTIA Plus or a CEH or a CISSP. Cybersecurity is booming, so you never know what's going to be around the corner. So, for example, a very hot topic at the moment is DevSecOps, which includes a bit of cloud security along with programming and baking security into the software development life cycle. So if this is something you want to do, and by all means, if you're a developer, then it will be an easy transition. Even if you're starting from scratch, it's definitely achievable. It's all about, as I said earlier, it's all about attitude. So you must be willing to learn, and you must be willing to adapt and to continuously learn every day about new vulnerabilities and new attack trends. So, in conclusion, no matter what you do, anything is achievable. The cybersecurity industry is definitely not an easy industry to get into if you don't have the right experience and qualifications. But if you persist and you definitely show that you are willing to learn and adapt, I'm sure a potential employer will definitely take you on board. And of course, if you have the opportunity to do an internship for a company, even if it's unpaid, if you can, I strongly suggest you should do it. It will help you build up your skills, and also gives you that confidence necessary when you get into a position of responsibility. If you are working as a cybersecurity engineer. So I'll be putting down in the description some of the resources I think that will be very beneficial to you. Please take a look, and I'm sure you'll find them useful. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel, and do not forget to click on the bell icon below to get new updates when I release new videos.